Hi, my name's Rita. Thanks for checking out this video. I've just opened the Akashic Records of this beautiful piece of citrine. I don't know if you can see the inclusions and stuff in it. It's really amazing. Anyway, and it's smudged for my fingers. Maybe from the bottom too, you can see. Anyway, I appreciate you checking this video out. I've started using the Akashic Records, using the Pathway Prayer process to open the Akashic Records and do some channeling of different things. I did a channeling with the virus, which was very fascinating, and I think I will do another one based on where we are now and the fact that it told me there would be different strains of it, and that's what I'm hearing. And as you know, if you watch that video, it's all about your personal power and not having any fear. That's what it feeds off of, okay? So, and your personal power for those in the communities that are very spiritual doesn't mean that it's not part of a higher power. There's no separation of anything. So, rest assured, I am in a very good space about knowing my power and how I'm supported. And I was raised Christian, so mine comes from my knowledge of my connection, strong connection, like a cellular connection with God. And Jesus and Mary and a lot of masters are very active in my field. And so I feel very supported and very loved. And we all have the ability to make those connections. And I know if you're checking this video out on crystals that you understand that. so welcome to my page here, or the YouTube site that I have. But I did want to tell you about this citrine because I got it at the Gem Show in Tucson. And for those of you that don't know, the Gem Show in Tucson is the largest in the world. People come from all over, vendors, people all over the world. It's an amazing place. So I was there in February, and this stone called to me, along with a couple other actually pieces of citrine that I'll open the records of them as well. Probably not today, but I wanted to ask the citrine what we needed to know. And so the citrine is telling me that they love the fact that I just mentioned personal power. And it is personal power because we are so much more than just this. You know, we are soul energy, you know, and we chose to be here. It's my belief. It's my knowing. My knowing is that we all chose to be here. And we all chose to be here at this time, which is kind of amazing, right? It's an amazing force. A lot of forces that are going through the planet right now. So anyway, back to the citrine. So it's telling me embracing the personal power, but the thing that I shared before, it's telling me to remind you we don't tune crystals. That's a misnomer. The crystals tune us. And I went down this diatribe on the brain yesterday about memory, because memory is actually stored in our cells. And so I was curious about how people teach you about having a better memory, you know. So if our memory is stored in our cells, you know, what's that about? And the name Dendrite popped up, and Dendrite is just it's a name that I associate with neurons and things that I've learned. And so when I looked up Dendrite, just to remind myself of the definition, one of the definitions is actually crystalline, which I thought was really cool, and it comes from it was used in the Greek. The Greeks used it, and then the French in the 18th century used it, Dendrite, to describe crystalline, which was kind of like a tree with the tentacles, right? Anyway, so that was kind of fun to read. And so what I know now is that crystals actually tune us, that our cells and stuff are made up of crystalline energy, or crystalline, and so they remind us of what we are. And so that's really, I mean, that's really cool too. So when you work with stones or you hold stones, they actually are helping you remember who you are and what you are. And that's beautiful. And I will be doing I'm actually working on a documentary around that with a friend of mine who's an amazing filmmaker. And that will be coming out depending on how air flights go with international, that we'll be doing that this year. So if you subscribe to this channel, when you do, hit the bell and you'll get notices when I have a new video. And I'd love to share the information in the documentary about the stones and energy that's coming forward. But this citrine doesn't need cleaning. It's telling me to tell you why I like it. So I've been drawn to citrine. I don't know why. That's called the cash merchant stone. Put it by your cash register because it opens up abundance for you. And it doesn't need cleaning. It's very clear. And it's saying that what's amazing is like it allows clear energy to come in with intention. And so that's part of it, because there's a lot of sensing and intentions that we put out with energy when we have a desire, right? So having a piece like this opens up more of a clear channel to access that energy. So that's cool. And it also wants me to remind you that these inclusions inside come from when it encounters something as it's growing that causes like a disruption. And they said that's also very similar to us. You know, like as we grow from children, there are things that happen to us that can cause a disruption. And so like when I look at this stone, those things look really beautiful to me. But it really depends on how you look at them, because we all have these little disruptions, right? And so we can decide whether these disruptions that we've had in our life are ways that we've been able to grow and continue to grow and be really beautiful. Or we can look at those little disruptions and attach a meaning to them that doesn't feel good. And so that's our choice, because we're responsible for our own happiness and how we perceive things and move forward in the world, and those intentions or desires that we have for our own happiness shape our lives, right? So it's saying that unlike the plants that grow in a certain direction based on following the sun, if you notice, like if this sits here, now it's based on how it was carved, right? So it could have been, and I don't think the sides are, it's telling me the sides are not carved, that it actually grew this way, but it's been polished. So when they cut, though, the base, they could have cut it at different angles, right? It could just be, but they also want to try to have as much of the citrine as possible. So it says it was kind of growing in that direction. And that's based on a lot of geological factors, because they didn't grow in the sun. So when you, being told when you hold the stone that you should, any of your stones, you should hold them and try to breathe with them. Breathing's really important right now. Really present with my breath. We can get to a place where we're breathing really shallow. So breathing with them kind of helps with the attunement, as well as just holding them and touching them. And they said, like, people that do healing work with crystals will actually place them on different chakras, which is helpful as well. But a lot of it's around your intentions and what you're open to. So They're saying that as far as finding a crystal that speaks to you, you can look up in books, like I mentioned, the merchant stone, right? So you can look in books and things, but it wouldn't be wise to go try to find a crystal just based on that. Like, you really got to like be around them and just see which ones speak to you, and you'll know that. And to tell you like my love of crystals, I was told part of it comes from, I was in Atlantis, I was a scientist, and I worked with crystals, but I also did science stuff. And that's kind of how my brain is now here. I'm very left brain, but also very right brain, which is kind of cool. So it's interesting, like things that we carry forward from different lifetimes and how they show up in this lifetime to kind of help us with things we want to bring forward. The love of stones for me was realized actually at a later point in my life. I remember having like I loved mica. I loved like how mica was as a kid, you know. It was like so textured and fragile. And anyway, the mica in Virginia where I grew up. So that was my like only realization and strong draw to the crystals and stones. And then when I moved to South Africa, I was walking in this breezeway between two malls, and this woman had this table set up. She actually had several, and they had all these stones on them. And I started talking to her, and I was like looking at them, and I was like getting really jazzed about them. And in talking to her, it was kind of interesting because I had adopted more of a simple lifestyle with my jewelry. I had gotten more into the Quaker faith, which is a really cool faith. And they live really simply. So I was really embracing a simplified lifestyle. And I went home that night and I got on the computer. And as I looked at these stones, I could feel like my body vibrate when I looked at the stones. And I was like, wow. And so I actually bought some stones that night online, some pendants. And also went and got my regular jewelry out because I'd been given some beautiful pieces of jewelry by my mother and other people, but mostly by my mom, and I hadn't been wearing them. So that was really cool to then really embrace the energy of the stones. So I keep turning this around. I just wanted you to be able to see it. It's just it's a gorgeous piece. So anyway, I'm curious, like, jot me some comments if you want me to ask certain questions of stones. I want to do selenite. Selenite's also a stone that doesn't need cleaning and actually helps clear the energy of other stones. And so thanks for checking in. I hope you're having a great day. And remember to subscribe and click the bell, and you'll get future videos. Again, I want to go into the Akashic Records of the virus again, and some other things. So like also send me email or message and let me know if there's other things that you'd like for me to go into the open up the Akashian channel questions of, right? I may do another video today. I have a lot of crystals here, and a lot of them want me to connect with them. But this is the citrine. This one's from Brazil. It's beautiful. There's an amazing book out there if you haven't seen it. It's called Love is in the Earth. Wow, it looks like the sun. Love is in the Earth. And Melody actually just passed in February. I would have loved to have met her, but I've connected with her since she's passed. She said I really don't need any help with what I'm doing, but she's around. So maybe we'll connect in with her too at some point. But anyway, lots of love. Take care.